Country, we usually think of voting as an exceptionally personal and private thing, and it is. But it takes a huge operation to make those private moments happen. More than 1 million people are needed to staff nearly 100,000 voting sites across the country, serving tens of millions of voters. There is a critical need in California and across the country for poll workers. Kim Alexander, president of the nonpartisan California Voter Foundation, is sounding the alarm and joins me now live. Hi, Kim.
Hi, Sinceri. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you again as well. 1 million people. We need 1 million people to be trained up and ready by November.
Yeah, and the good news is we've already done a lot to recruit those folks already. And so there are a couple places that are still looking for poll workers and still plenty of opportunities for Americans to step up and help out.
If we voted, we've all seen them, but what exactly should poll workers be ready to do? And can young people, even teens, get involved in this process?
Yes, absolutely. 16 and 17-year-olds in California can work in the polls, and they're especially welcome in polling places because they do bring that young energy, which a lot of people enjoy at the voting sites. And they also have some good technical smarts that can come in handy on election day. It's a tough job, I'll be honest. I mean, it is a long day. You know, we open our polls at 7 a.m., we close them at 8 p.m., and the poll workers need to be there before they open and after they close. So you're looking at a 14 to 16-hour day. Of course, there's breaks and you work in teams, so it's not all on one person, but you go through a training process with the county elections office. They'll walk you through how to process voters, how to check registrations, how the voting equipment works, and all the situations that may come up. Typically, in every voting site, there is a lead person who is better trained than everybody else, has a lot more information. Every polling place is going to be in touch with the county elections office. So if you do run into an issue, you can get a hold of the people back at the elections office to help you.
All righty. Now, everyone who lived through the 2020 election, its aftermath, and January 6th knows that poll workers are among those who've been targeted in following elections, small and statewide. Back in 2021, your foundation did a study, the results of which found that 15% of election officials have resigned across the country because of this treatment. Now, at the end of last year, envelopes of what was believed to be fentanyl were mailed to registrars' offices up and down our state. So given that things have only gotten more polarized since then, I would guess a lot of people would think, be a poll worker? Why would I want to do that?
You raise a good point. And the reality is, as we saw with the recent attempt on the former president's life, that political violence is a real issue in our country, and it has been a growing problem since the 2020 election. And election officials and their staff have definitely had a bad time in the last couple of years dealing with people who feel aggrieved, people who challenge election results. The good news is that we have been able to address some of these challenges through stronger laws, through more training, through more protections being implemented in elections offices. In fact, a survey that was done by the Brennan Center this year found that 92% of election officials across the country have taken actions to secure and protect their election operations in the last year. So we do see that movement. And we also hear from poll workers through Power the Polls, which is online at powerthepolls.org. They're a great organization, a coalition of all these groups that are mobilizing poll worker recruitment. And they surveyed their former poll workers, and hundreds of thousands of them, and found that 92% had a positive experience. So yes, there are some isolated incidents. We need to be on our toes, but the takeaway should be for folks, voters and poll worker, potential poll workers alike, is that voting is a safe experience. You will be protected, you will be trained, and you will be part of the solution.
All righty. Now, August 1st, next Thursday, is National Poll Worker Recruitment Day. Back in 2020, the U.S. Election Assistance Commission, or EAC, started an initiative connecting potential poll workers with their local election offices. Now, how does this help keep the entire voting process really accessible and accurate?
Well, every elections office needs a crew of people to help them go out and staff polling places. And as you said, it takes over 1 million people across the country to staff the voting sites across the United States on election day. So that's a lot of people. There are a lot of people who return year after year to be poll workers, but there's always a need to recruit more. And during the pandemic, there was a shortage where people were understandably concerned about going to work at voting sites. So that's why the EAC began this initiative, and they've continued it because they realize that there is this chronic need for more poll worker recruitment and to continue to replenish the ranks of our poll workers in the United States. So not every jurisdiction is in need. I understand Sacramento County is doing pretty well, but in our area, Solano County, Placer County, Yolo County, and San Joaquin County are a few that have expressed a need to the folks that power the polls in the EAC. So we hope folks will contact their county elections office. If you go to helpamericavote.gov, they will take you right into your county elections office to learn more about what's expected of poll workers and how you can sign up.
Alrighty, former U.S. Representative Adam Kinzinger and actress Kerry Washington have teamed up for Power to the Polls, training up more than 800,000 poll workers in the last 4 years. There's also an effort to connect with veterans through Vet the Vote. Something for everyone, right? No excuses.
Yeah, it's amazing the momentum that's built up over the last couple of elections to help recruit poll workers, especially this Vet the Vote campaign. They have recruited already over 135,000 military veterans and their family members to work in the polls this year. And that's a really important audience because the public really has a lot of trust for military personnel. And so seeing those folks in the polls, I think, will help give voters confidence and feel good about the voting process.
All righty, Kim Alexander, thank you so much for coming in to talk to us about National Poll Worker Recruitment Day, which is coming up next Thursday. We appreciate you.
Thank you.